So, without further ado, I'd like to call together the Design Review Board regular meeting for Monday, January 3rd. Let's start with our call to order. Stephen Antonio, I'm here. Is Elaine here? No, I don't see her. Polly Rice?
Here.
Okay. Anka Dragulski?
Yeah.
Kate Beal?
Here.
And that's all of us, but we have a quorum, so let's proceed moving along. New business is a referral from the Zoning Commission, application 21-27 of SL Simsbury LLC. Applicant is TJ Donahue Jr. from Killian and Donahue for a type 3 application pursuant to Hartford form-based code related to the changing the commercial zone to residential and constructing a 15-unit residential building on the property located at 250 Hot Meadow Street. Is TJ here?
He is not. So I did speak with Mr. Donahue today, and they do not have the plans ready just yet due to the holiday and the limited time. So they are planning on going forward at the next meeting.
Okay. So let's table that one and moving right along. Application 21-28 of Mac 5 Development LLC. Applicant Mark Cohen, agent, sign permit application pursuant to Section 9 of the Simsbury zoning regs related to the construction of an externally lit sign on the property located at 1603 Hot Meadow Street. Will someone be presenting on behalf of the applicant for this one?
Yes, I'm here.
Hey, Mark.
Hi.
Thank you.
So, this sign was looked at the previous meeting last year, and the client made some changes, which I've submitted as part of my revised package. They've balanced the color to match the color scheme of the Tractor Supply, while there's no red in it because the copy doesn't cater to that. They did change the background to white and the lettering to black. They also mimic the same size of a rectangle versus a triangle. Can you see all the drawings that I have on the screen?
Laura, can you share his screen?
No.
Or
He should be able to screen share. Did you pull it up already, Mark, or did you need me to?
It's at the bottom.
It's at the bottom. Yeah,
of
I'm
your
trying.
screen. It should say share screen, right center, bottom row.
Okay.
I don't see that.
Share screen. Share. There it is. So that's the sign. And then we also did a mock-up. It's a close-up of the garden center, just to show the orientation. I know somebody mentioned putting it lower, but the reason they didn't want to do that, if you look at the bottom where it shows right side store elevation, that's the side view. You can see all the way over to the left, the storefront. That's where Tractor Supply sign is. And then I don't know the exact measurement, but quite a distance back is the front wall of the garden center. So they maintain the height that they had before due to visibility, because if it was down lower, you wouldn't be able to see it very well.
So what gets it its way? Because isn't that right straight shot to the street?
It's a straight shot to the street, but they wanted it higher. The original sign had it in the peak, and it was triangular.
Right.
What they've done is they've just changed the shape and the size, not the size, but the style of the lettering. They eliminated the icons.
Do you have a picture of how that would look along with the other sign? Like you had that in the last time.
No, they did not give me that mock-up. But we have the old mock-up of the orientation, which is right there.
So it still looks higher to me unless I'm missing something with that elevation you just showed us.
Right.
Higher, yeah, yes, it is higher than. It's not as high as it was before, but it's higher.
I recommend that they be at the same level. I think that's what Stephen was just alluding to.
Yeah, elevation wise.
Well, we could put that as a condition then.
So on the picture that you had, yeah, that one, it shows the garden center sign there being green. Is that just to identify it and not to use that color?
No, on this picture,
not that picture, the one you had just before.
Here?
See how it's green?
No, the one I have on here right now is
no, below. It says garden center sign and an arrow pointing to it, and it's green. I just want to make sure that the sign is not green.
No, it's black.
I know on the upper picture it shows that it's not, but in the lower one there that you have your cursor over it, that is green.
Yeah, that's just how the art department did a very quick changeover while they were pretty much closed between Christmas and New Year's. So they didn't change that, but it's not green.
Okay. Yeah,
it's black like it's shown on this page here. Black sign cabinet.
All right.
Right where my cursor is.
Stephen, just a bottom line for me, the sign looks good. I would like the location to be at the same elevation as the main Tractor Supply Company sign. That's my recommendation.
Okay, I wish they'd given us an elevation showing it though. Is the font about the same height? So it's 3.8 by, whoops, it's actually smaller. It's 3.8 versus 5.2, which is fine. I'd rather see it equal or less. So that answers that.
Well, the 5.2 is Tractor Supply. The Garden Center is 3.8, and I think it used to always be 3.8.
But Stephen, you just brought up also the font is different than the Tractor Supply.
I'm trying to. It keeps going back and forth.
Oh,
I don't think it's the same font.
No, it's not the same font.
It's not the same font as the other sign.
No, but the Tractor Supply font is the registered trademark. So this is not a Tractor Supply sign. So
but it is. So I don't understand why they would not want to use their same font. Just from business, that part of their trademark is that font. Unless this is an information sign, in which case, why do you need it at the top of a building? You know, it's confusing this edition. But Anka, let's hear from someone else. Anka, what do you got on this?
I really don't have much to.
That's okay. I'm just making sure.
I mean, it doesn't bother me that much that the new sign, the garden center sign, has a different font. Yes, in terms of height, probably it will be more visible, at least in the drawing, in the rendering that we are shown. It seems to me that it will be more visible if it's a bit lower. But apparently there are some reasons why it cannot be lower. I'm not sure I got that reason. Overall, as I say, I don't have much to say about it. It doesn't bother me too much. It's okay. Seriously.
Right, I'll take that as a positive.
Yeah. I would just allow them to go ahead. It's okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I completely agree. I think it's fine.
Okay. I'd still like to see it on the same level plane as the initial sign for consistency in the building. It just, I think it lends itself better to the eye. So with that being said and hearing nothing else, I make a motion for approval of application 21-28 of MAC 5 Development LLC, applicant Mark Cohen, agent, sign permit applicant pursuant to section 9 of the Simsbury zoning regulations relating to the construction of an externally lit sign on the property located at 1603 Hot Meadow Street, with the one stipulation that it be hung at the same height as the Tractor Supply sign. Would someone like to second that? Or if they disagree, by all means, I'm more than happy to hear that.
Yes, I'll second it.
Thank you for stepping up, Kate. All right, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
There's no one left to abstain or oppose, so it's unanimous. You pass. Thank you for taking the time to come back.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, moving along, application 21-30 of Dorsal Crossing LLC. Applicant is David Ziax, PE agent, sign plan approval for the construction of 2 multi-unit residential housing buildings on the property located at 115 and 130 Casterbridge Crossing. Is there someone to speak on behalf of this applicant?
Yes, this is Ken LaForge, landscape architect over at F.A. Hesketh and Associates. I'm here with Dave Ziax and Guy Hesketh from our office, Jack Brandt, Tom LaSalle from Tapestry, and Michael Neisley, the architect. And I believe I saw a couple other familiar names up there. So we're all here to answer questions after. We have a presentation we'd like to go through. If I could share the screen, we have a PowerPoint. If that's okay, I'll do that now. Okay. Okay. Is everybody seeing this?
Yep.
Okay, good. Okay. So again, I'm Ken LaForge from F.A. Hesketh and Associates. This is the Tapestry / Crown Simsbury project up at Dorsal Crossing. Just so everybody's familiar, it's on lot D and G of the Dorsal Crossing project. I think you're all familiar with it as you come in off of Hot Meadow, come up toward the first kind of cul-de-sac, Casterbridge, you pass the apartment buildings, the point on your left, the CLMP facility on your right, the special needs housing. And if you cross through the woods, there's a little recently repaved over road with a cul-de-sac. And on the right-hand side would be lot D. And on your left-hand side would be lot G. The town right-of-way continues kind of through the woods up until the hill, which is the southern part of the property. And then if you kept going up, would be the old property where I believe now they have all the solar panels at the end, which is not on our property, but is our kind of abutting property. This is the general layout plan for the project. Just to reorient you, where the cursor kind of is now is the special needs project. And over on this side is the point. As you come through, there's the kind of path across Saxton Brook, and then there's the temporary cul-de-sac. Our proposal is for 2 buildings, the lot D, which is over here, this part of the property. It's a 30-unit building, 3 stories, 20 townhouses on the lower levels, and on top would be 10 flat units. And then underneath would be underground parking. On lot G, on this side, is a building. It's 42 units total, 28 townhouses and 14 flats on the upper level. And again, there's underground parking. The parking on lot D on this part of the project, there's 13 surface spaces in front of the building, 15 spaces in kind of exterior garages. And as I mentioned, there are 40 interior parking spaces kind of in the lower level garage building, access through a driveway over here. On lot G, there are 28 surface parking spaces in here. You can see if you can follow the cursor. And then on the interior, there are 56 parking spaces kind of underground in the garage, access through a drive over here. The new temporary, this would be a temporary cul-de-sac because this is the town road that would continues through the property. I'm not sure the likelihood this would ever be extended, given the grade difference between the cursor here and up here. It's like 50 or 60 feet. Nonetheless, this would be a temporary cul-de-sac. Like I said, the right-of-way continues through here and the buildings are spaced on either side. of this area and the cul-de-sac. And we thought it'd be nice to keep the buildings kind of at a little bit of an angle. Provides a very interesting view as you drive up the road. The cul-de-sac kind of acts as an entry feature where you would pull off to the right to access the residential units on D, and you would come in off the cul-de-sac in this area to access the units on G. As I mentioned, you come in through here, access to the parking garage is through here. There's a door on this side. And on this side, the access comes down through here. There's a garage door. So the interior parking garage spaces are not visible from the street. So as looking at the whole site in general, you see very few parking spaces out on the site. It's just two very handsome buildings, which Michael will go over later, and very few parking spaces on the outside. There's a green area within the parking lot on both sides. We thought that would be important to kind of help break up the scale of the parking, even though it's already very small. Give it a little bit more green area on the interior of the parking. We thought that would be nice. So we have some islands in the corners and in the middle. Again, with some of the other green space, just makes for a pretty handsome parking lot. There's an existing sidewalk that ends at the point. We're going to continue that sidewalk around. It's going to go around through the cul-de-sac, and it's going to link both buildings. So the people, the residents of these units will be able to access the whole Dorset Crossing walking system, I think, which takes you all the way back down to Route 10 if you want. And then part of the nice thing is there'll be some interaction between the two buildings. There are a few low retaining walls on the periphery of the site. We're up against the conservation easement here. I believe we've already gone through the Conservation Commission. They took a look at that and they were happy with the design of these walls. There's a small retaining wall on this side. We're going to continue the grading through this area as I think it's at 2 or 3%. So it's going to look like a little park feature through there. It'll be a nice green space, a gathering space for the people of the units. We thought that would be very important. So because of that, there's a need for some small retaining walls there. But again, that it gives it a little sense of space. This kind of becomes a little courtyard type area. It becomes just, again, another nice place for people to gather. If I click over here, this is just kind of more of a little colored rendering of how the site would look. You can see we're maintaining a lot of the periphery green space on the two properties. And again, this is kind of the feature we're just talking about, the green, I'll call it a parkway in the middle. It'd be a nice place to go outside, throw a Frisbee, or just hang out. It'll afford the ability for people to gather and kind of just hang out, enjoy the outdoors. If I can go to the next slide here, this is the landscaping plan as submitted, kind of in a black and white format. And if I click back over again, this is it in color. So you can see we've introduced a lot of trees in the internal portions of the site. Again, trying to give it a little more human scale to the parking lot area. Again, they're not very big, but it's always nice to have green areas inside there, plant some trees and shrubs, just to kind of soften things up. We're proposing some kind of typical kind of street tree planting in the area in between the two buildings. Again, we envision this area as a nice gathering place, great place to go out and read a book or enjoy some coffee or just hang out. So we thought it'd be nice to include some shaded areas in that particular spot. And also provides a little bit of scale to the buildings. These buildings are 3 stories tall, so some of the trees in there will help give it a little bit more of a human scale, make it feel a little bit more park-like in that area. If I click to the next slide here, this kind of shows the foundation plantings for the buildings, the 2 buildings, and I'll just click over. So it's color, a little bit more exciting and see it a little better without all the labeling. We use the foundation plantings to help define the spaces around the building and the walkways. Each one of the lower levels of the units will either have if you can see up here, it's either a deck or a patio, depending on how the grading works. So we're using the landscaping to help define these spaces for the individual units, provide a little privacy in between the 2, and to help create some separation between the walkways and these kind of individual open spaces that are part of the architecture of the building. These patios will have some kind of like a low fencing in there, again, just to give it a sense of enclosure. And we think that the landscaping that area will just accentuate that. If I can click back again over in here, we did some plantings along the wetlands area and at the base of these walls. Again, these are more kind of environmental plantings, to help rejuvenate that area. I think this site for many, many years has been, it was used for various purposes, and the natural vegetation has grown back in areas. We just wanted to kickstart that a little bit more. So we provided several plantings along the base of these walls for enhancement of that area, because this is the conservation easement. We have an area of a slope through here that, again, we envision that as part of this nice open space with the wall. And we've planted, instead of just using it as grass, we've used a nice mixture of plantings in there as a nice background, again, to accentuate the space and make it more livable for the people wanting to enjoy that at their leisure. One of the comments we had gotten was, I forget if it was from Public Works or from the engineering department, they'd like us to remove some of the trees in this area so they can have clear access through. There's a sanitary sewer easement as I'm drawing this cursor. So they didn't want to maintain that open in case they needed to get in there for any kind of repair. So we will be paring back some of this per that comment, but the general intent of this area will be maintained. I go ahead to the landscape schedule. This all keys back to the first 2 plans, LS1 and LS2. You can see the number of plantings that we're proposing for this project. In general, we're looking to have like a 4-season kind of planting here. So we have plantings that are chosen for their particular design qualities, whether it be flowering plants, interesting fall foliage, evergreen material. We're looking for different kind of textures, colors, so that we provide a very pleasing environment and plantings for the residents. These are all plants that we have found do very well in projects in this general area that we've worked on over a number of years. So we're very confident in their survivability. We will be proposing an irrigation system for this project. So that's also going to help not only initially with the plantings, but their long-term viability. So that's something I think is very important to note. There will be no exotic plants on this project. As much as I'd love to see some palm trees and things like that to remind me of nice summer days, We don't have any of those plants on this project, nor do we have any of the plants that are on the invasive species list in Connecticut. And I think that is obviously very important. We have done what we have can to provide as many native to Connecticut, or at least to the Northeast. The majority of the plants on this project fall into that category. And that's something we just always like to do because it's the right thing to do. So a lot of the plants are native materials. When they are not native, they're plants that are chosen, for their particular design attributes for a project. But just in general, most of these plants are native to the area. And just very quickly, in case anybody likes to add things up, this project was proposed showing 30 trees, 126 evergreen trees, 585 shrubs, and 202 ground covers or grasses. And all those plants together encompass 43 species. So we're providing a very varied landscape treatment. So we're not having any kind of monoculture, and we're very excited how this landscape plan will help accentuate the buildings, which are beautiful. And with that, I'd like to introduce Michael Neisley. Is he still here?
Yep.
Oh, he is. Okay. All right, Mike. If you want, I have the PowerPoint. I can continue, or if you have something, you can go along. But I can click along and show some of the buildings as you desire.
I think we can figure it out.
Okay, sure.
We can communicate to that level and let you know when to go on to the next slide.
Although not tech savvy, I will do my best to keep up with you.
Real good. Good afternoon, everyone. Michael Neisley here with Style Design Architects. We're excited about this project. We've been looking at it and working on it for the past year and plus. So now that we're to this point, we look forward to moving it beyond and getting it built. So if you could just show the plan, Ken, I can kind of go over Ken went and talked over the exterior of the building. And I'm just going to start at the lower level and work up real briefly. Parking on the lower level, mostly submerged, with access via a single overhead door in each of the two buildings. And then there's common areas in the center area there, the yellow. The next slide, Ken. The first two floors of the building, this is showing the first floor, are what we're referring to them as townhomes, though it's kind of a hybrid. The first floor of these two-story townhome type units is accessed by a central corridor in the building, like a typical apartment building, with common spaces on the lower level. And then with the exterior access also provided for those units that are open onto patios. For those units that are open onto decks, it's more of an internal deck access, because there is no access from the site proper up to that level in every case. It's just a longer distance, because the floor elevation from the garage floor to the first floor is 10 feet. The next slide. And the upper floor of these townhome units, if you will, is not accessed by the corridor, only from internally. And so we were able to capture the width of the corridor in the second floor. The next slide. Oops, there you go. Looks like the third floor. I actually have a copy of it here. Looks like you don't have it there.
Yeah, I don't seem to have the third floor here. Sorry.
I can show on my screen if I can just capture it here. You may have to stop sharing for just a moment, and then I can.
Okay, I'm out.
All right. If I can get it on here. There we go. Everybody see that?
We see it.
Sharing the screen here now. So this is the third floor. Basically two of the footprints of the townhome units. So they spread across. Those are all accessed from a central corridor on the third floor. So you can see how they basically out there. Okay, go ahead. Actually, I can continue sharing, I suppose. Exterior elevations. This is as we submitted the plans in the middle of December. There are the renderings that that Ken will show here in a moment. Just change up some of the material designations on the exterior. We're kind of swap them out. So what's shown on the renderings is what we would like to proceed with. But it's a combination of brick facing and a stucco-like finish, synthetic stucco finish on the remainder of the building. And you can kind of see how these patios and decks on the fronts of these, we call them the fronts of the buildings, some again accessing from the outside, and then others are just decks for the interior use. Both buildings look essentially the same in that regard. And then we have the garages on site are basically the synthetic stucco with a cornice along the top.
Michael, you want to show where the elevators are located and where it accesses the floors?
Pardon?
Could you show where the elevators are and how they access the floors?
Yes. The elevator would be located either here or on the back side. You can see in the lower level, the garage, which is where we'll be connecting the garage through the third floor, either here or on this end. Definitely not in the center here. And then in the common space here, if we end up with a mezzanine, it would be accessed again off of the stairs that would continue up from the lower level and then by this elevator as well. And then the third floor, which connects to common area in the third floor and the corridors. Is there any other questions on that? We can, Ken, why don't you go ahead and take the plan or the screen over, and then you can show the remainder of the drawings. You can see where we've changed out the materials, worked with them, and we feel this is a more appropriate plan for the exterior materials. So we can flip through these, and if anyone has questions, please feel free to
I have a question. Is there only one way in and out to the basement parking?
Yes.
There's one door?
Yep.
Does it fit 2 vehicles or just one?
Yes, it can fit 2 vehicles. They can also be timed with the doorways and so forth. But it's intended to do both vehicles or each direction.
So an in and out at the same time is possible.
Yeah.
Okay. And then one other question: one elevator per building?
We know there's going to be vertical circulation. We may end up with 2 in the larger building. We're looking at all of the costs and the amenities and that kind of thing right now to see whether or not it's warranted.
Okay. Just wondering if there's like a big elevator, if there's big furniture, or is it just going to be one?
Yeah, it would be at least a 3,500 pound elevator and actually gurney sized. So could be fire department would appreciate that, I think.
Okay. Thank you. I know it's really not our purview. I just had questions.
Sure. No problem, Polly.
What are these like arched windows that are flanking the doorway?
Mm-hmm.
The entrance? Like I generally like the massing, but then that throws me off a little bit, those arched windows. And then the lack of like window above them.
Right. It is a...
All right. That view's a little bit better.
Yeah.
It seems very like I don't know why I'm thinking this, like a row of cards all lined up, red, yellow, red, yellow, red, yellow. It's kind of bold, I guess, is a word, or harsh is a worse word, but it's not that are you trying to make them look like different buildings all lined up?
That's the basic intent, to make them look like different townhome type units, even though the third floor actually transcends
right
2 units.
And then
the deck in the center, and then there's
one showing. Then there's that big giant black pillar in the midst of those 2. I guess 2 down, 2 to the left of the main entrance. It's just, it doesn't seem to fit, except with the lamp posts. See that big black pillar there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's on all those. Yeah. I almost want to see the canopies in a darker color or something. I'm not sure. The canopies, I agree. The pillar does feel a little off balance. Like, I don't know if it just needs to be a light, like the pillar wants to be a lighter color, or the canopy. I don't know if there's a reason that the canopies have to pop up versus coming down a little bit lower on it might just be for drainage, but.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm the red, what are red tan. Just it. I don't know how to describe it. It's just it seems inconsistent, not inconsistent, but it's very distinctively different between the stucco and then the red is brick.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have an alternative because I'm not you, but with the knowledge of how to do the decor, but it doesn't flow, I guess, for me.
Okay.
Anka, what do you have to say? You're good at this building stuff as well. But what's your
first of all, thank you very much to the entire team. They presented very nicely. They came very well prepared. They put a lot of effort, as they mentioned, for the past year, apparently. So overall, the presentation is very nice. Now, having said that, the building is nice, but it doesn't really belong to Simsbury. I think it's the stucco finish that doesn't belong to our area, and also the flat roofs, besides the arched windows and the trim work above the windows, as Kate mentioned. I mean, the minute you look at these buildings, it's like, gosh, where am I? I don't know what can be done. Definitely, I mean, I like, for instance, the idea of having the third floor recessed with those balconies, but then what happens with that pillar in the middle and the flat roof, that's, I don't know.
If I may interject, my name is Jack Brandt. We're looking at the flat roof because we're trying to include a solar component to create energy efficient buildings. So we're doing a similar kind of building for different projects in different parts of the country, but the basis is the inclusion of potentially solar, and solar will fit on a flat roof much easier than a slope roof.
The bulk of your, in all fairness though, the bulk of the roof is unimpeded. Have you considered a gable over there? Or, I mean, if the only reason is solar capability, of course you can put solar on a gable as well. Is that something you guys could consider, or even a parapet wall or something? I see where they're going with this. Is that something you guys?
Are you talking about on the entire roof or over the balconies?
Over balconies is where I was centering on, but you know, each commissioner has their own purview.
Well, we actually did look at a gabled roof over the balconies at one point, and it was an option. We can look at that further. You know, the column, first of all, understand these are renderings. So, you know, the colors don't come out to be like what we get. And that the column was kind of looking at, do we need it structurally? If we don't need the column structurally, we would take it out. The other thing, the intent is to screen those balconies, try to make those really more like 3-season. The screening didn't show in the renderer. So, you know, that would change it a little bit. They're showing awfully bright in there. But we can certainly look at how we treat over those balconies.
Okay, Anka, is that what
those, I totally understand, definitely, and I encourage using solar panels. Obviously, we use them everywhere these days, but can't you just install them on sloped roof? Or, as I said, you can find many ways of installing solar panels, even on buildings with sloped roofs.
Right, but
it bothered me. The flat roof bothered me. These are too big volume. They are too big buildings. And as I said, the stucco, the stucco finish also, it doesn't belong to this area. As I said, the presentation, the effort that the team put in developing the design, it's commendable. But I would also invite them to visit, to drive through our town and the surrounding area and get an idea of what makes Simsbury, again, our town. I don't know. Again, I'm not saying that all the buildings in town have to look alike, okay? But still find some elements that are distinctive for our town.
We can pick up on the vernacular of the town.
Yeah, actually, we got some.
Exactly,
we can certainly explore that. Yes,
we did get some advice that you were looking for something different. So, you know, we have looked at this with brick and lap siding as something more what you would see in town. Is that kind of what you're thinking? Something along that line?
Exactly. Like, for instance, the Ensign Bigford development. It's very old. It's the buildings that belong to the original Ensign Bigford site are I think very, very nice. Few elements of design. If you can get inspired a little bit, I think it will help. Yeah, it will help.
Yeah, we can certainly look at lap siding instead of stucco in there. We had that design. I think it looks very good. I'd like to put a gable roof on this entire building. That's a big volume of gable roof. And you basically, to answer your question about solar energy, you lose half of the ability to some extent, maybe more like 35, 40% of what it produces. So that's the downside of that. But
Yeah,
from a massing standpoint,
just for clarification,
Are you putting solar on this roof?
Well, what we're trying to do is go green, there's a great incentive in financing to go green. So we haven't committed to it, but we'd like to have the ability to put solar on the roof.
I was thinking more architectural detail with the gables over the upper floor porches, just for clarification. I didn't, at least for me, I didn't mean a gable over the whole building. I meant an accent piece.
Right, I understood. Yeah.
Okay.
Is that what we're talking, is just accent pieces in both cases?
Yep.
Well, I'm not sure that, I'm sorry, the lady that was talking before, I'm not sure were you talking about just over the balconies as well?
That's what I understood.
Anka?
I cannot, how can I say, I'm subjective, obviously. Each designer sees this building in his or her own way. Me personally, if it was me, I would go with sloped roof, all sorts of sloped roofs over the entire building. But again, I don't want to design for the team. I know how bad it is when someone comes, look at a project, you spend a full year working on it, and someone looks for 5 minutes and start criticizing and giving opinions. I don't want to do this. I leave it up to them.
I understand.
Okay. All right.
Sorry. So I'm struggling, I think I'm not really struggling with the rectilinear nature of it. I don't feel like I would need to see a peaked roof necessarily, but I think it's just, it has a fairly traditional air to it in general. You know, you've got like the kind of like the corbels going up the sides and like, and then I'm really struggling with these like column and these flat. The roof to the balconies doesn't seem like it goes to me, and I'm not personally opposed to a more modern building, but somehow this is not marrying the two well for me, in terms of like these very traditional windows, which I think the rest of the board is happy to see. But then to me, these really modern roofs only over the balconies is like not, it's like an anomaly instead of working with the design. So like, I'm okay with a more modern building, but I'm not okay with this combination of traditional and modern elements, I think is where I'm at with the aesthetic personally.
Thank you, Kate.
Okay, let's circle back to the front entry with the curved windows too, so we can give any feedback in more you always mess up that word, specificity. I apologize for that. But what would you think might be more attractive? That I know you referenced
click on that screen, please.
Lack of windows above them because it's sort of offset. I do know that they're trying, or I not know, I presume they're trying to denote the entrance to the building and make it sort of stand out. What would you consider? Would you consider a central window, a circular window as something, or that might be going too far? But
there's the opportunity for some glazing in that two-story space on the upper level.
Could you repeat that?
There is opportunity for some glazing in that two-story space there.
Some glazing?
Glazing windows.
Yeah. Oh, glazing. Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm actually, now that I look at it again, I'm not a fan of the curved. It just, every other window is square, and then those two there it just doesn't flow.
Well, adding windows would change how we would approach all of the glass on that side. Anyway.
We're happy to take a look at that.
We can certainly change the windows without your direction.
Yeah, they just kind of don't fit. If you did tall rectangle windows and then another set above the main doors.
I agree. I think we can make something much more attractive for you. We will look at that.
Thank you.
And now that I'm looking at this front on, I'm just thinking that the biggest problem with those flat roofs over the balconies is just that their scale looks like it's off to the rest of the building. Like it's too thin and almost flimsy looking as a roof. And I'd like to see maybe a little bit bit more substance to that would balance it out with the rest of the roof. Or like there's a lot of trim and everything, and then that's so sleek.
Yeah,
it just doesn't.
I don't think that
of it.
It didn't render out to what it really is, but we'll just redo that. I mean, we'll look at the whole thing, and we think they're probably going to be a little shallower. They look like they're about 40 feet deep here, so it's just not reading accurately on this drawing.
No. I agree with you. This is Jack Brand. I made that comment previously regarding that space, so I think we can improve that space for you.
One thing back to what Anka said about the stucco. Did you suggest doing like a clapboard?
Yeah, we looked at that. We had looked at that as an option initially, so we can certainly.
Because that to me would flow better with the brick.
Yep, we can sure do that.
Than the stucco.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead. What are the board's feelings on the color scheme? I'm fine with it. Let me just throw that out there. But it's one of the
I'd like to see how it would look with clapboard instead of stucco, and then again get rid of those curved windows. And maybe
we can go back with that. Maybe we can get some. I always worry about these renderings because if you love this color, chances of us matching it are tough. So
okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, it can look different on every one of our screens. That's the other problem. So,
and then maybe I like the black wrought iron, the fencing and the lampposts, and maybe add more black something to the facade, whether it be trim or, again, then you also here it's showing those pillars in those third floor entry. I don't even know what to call those patios. That looks like it's a brown. So, I think more black accents would make everything pop a little better and blend the two color scheme.
I think those columns are going to go away. I mean, those.
We'll just have to restructure it.
They don't make sense.
Yeah, but maybe more black on the facade.
The other thing too is these will be screened. So you'll get a darker view across those balconies as well because they'll look a little different. So let us work on that, and we agree with what you're saying.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, as far as the mechanical aspect, is it fully enclosed? Is it rooftop? Where will the mechanical units actually be placed?
The plan is they'd be hidden behind the parapet toward the center of the building or center of the buildings.
That's fine as long as you got them behind something.
That'd be the common space mechanical systems, and then the units themselves would be a individual like magic pack type system.
Right. Well, honestly, I think overall it shows the amount of effort. I was really blown away with the landscaping. Is beautiful in my opinion. And
we'll put an end on this building too. I think that might be a good idea.
Might be a nice touch.
Let me switch the slide here. There we go.
But anyways, you've got a great package here, and we appreciate you taking the time to show us, and we look forward to just bringing it down home stretch. Commissioners, do you have any other input? We're getting near zoning time, being the zoning commission, so we should yield the airwaves.
No, but we'll be seeing a updated redo then, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you for your input.
Can you also try next time? I'm really looking forward to see. I think we offered you enough critique tonight. Sorry about it, but it really needs some work to make it belong to our New England corner here. Will you be able to show those solar panels maybe on the top of the roof or wherever they will be installed? Just
the idea is that you don't see the solar panels when we put them on the roof.
Right. We don't.
Well, in renderings, you can fake it that they are not seen in renderings, but they might be seen in reality. So try to produce a rendering as accurate as possible.
Right, to verify whether they're visible or not.
Exactly. I mean, if they're going to be seen, then let's show them. I love to see mechanical equipment exposed. It's beautiful, and solar panels, there's nothing wrong with them. Let's make them look great, not hide them. If they are there, they are there. It's okay to see them. Ducts and everything, if they look good, show them.
Okay.
As I said, thank you very much. And we are looking forward to see what follows after this review. Yeah.
Thank you.
If you could do the due diligence of just verifying the pitch on those solar panels that they would be set at for the height to see if they're behind the parapet wall or if you were going to highlight them, that would be appreciated, just, for a full understanding of the elevation, the final elevation would be.
Okay.
Do you guys have any questions for us above and beyond the package we've already, given you as far as input?
What is the process now? We make these changes and then present them to the town again and then come back before you again?
Yeah, 2 weeks. So you got 14 days, unless you want to take longer. Of course, you always can. But we meet every 2 weeks.
Right.
So we can still bang this out, and keep it moving fast if that's your ultimate goal is construction this year.
I think your comments are very informative and quite instructive, and we are in general agreement with almost everything you've said, and we'll try and incorporate those comments into the next presentation. Thanks very much.
Likewise.
Steve, I got a quick question. The next meeting would be Martin Luther King's Day. Would you just do that on the next Tuesday, the day after?
Laura, are you here?
So I guess holiday snuck into our meeting schedule. The Zoning Commission is actually not meeting that day. Their next meeting is February 7th.
We could meet, though, if we chose to.
If you wanted to do a special meeting, you absolutely can. We cannot do it on a holiday, though, when town offices are closed.
Okay, so we could do it on Tuesday, the 18th?
I could certainly see if it's available just because of the Zoom schedule. I just have to make sure we have a channel so we can live stream.
Sure. Just as a quick survey, Polly, Kate, and Anka, would you be available on Tuesday the 18th?
Yes.
As long as it's at 5:30, yes.
I would presume so. Kate?
Oops, hang on. Yep, that looks fine for me.
Okay, and again, if that's too fast for you guys, we'll just bump it to the February 3rd or whatever the that next date was. But if you'd like to keep it moving along, we'd very much appreciate the opportunity to continue with you as well. So thank you again. It's you can see the amount of time and effort you put in, and we appreciate you incorporating our input as well. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Right. Thanks again, everyone. Bye now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, moving along, we have the approval of minutes for the December 20th, 2021 meeting. Did anyone find any problems with those minutes? No? Does someone else want to make a motion that we approve them? I'll keep it moving.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the December, what was the day?
20.
December 20th meeting.
I'll second it. And all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. So there's no one left to abstain or vote against. So it's unanimously passed. And then one final motion with someone else. So let's just be, to just clarify. Laura, you're going to get in touch with us if, in fact, we are going to do that January 18th meeting. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'll check with the town hall tomorrow and make sure it's available, and I'll send out an email.
Perfect.
Hopefully they will have materials to present.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So shall we presume no news means no meeting? Because it's
either that or we could schedule it. We can always cancel it if we have to, but special meetings, I can file an agenda and just kind of secure the date without actually doing anything.
Okay. Because that would be the only new business, or rather continued business we would be hearing. I'm not looking to add more to our plate, but as we pointed out, these are more important than the sign packages. They have more permanence. So anyways, since nobody else is making any motions tonight, I make a motion we adjourn.
Second.
Anyone else?